Good morning, everyone. I think we will wait for a while more. I'm Yokti here. I have my colleague Jacob with me today. Then he's going to do the presentation later. So welcome, Boss Ibrahim. Morning. Can you hear me?
Morning. Can.
Good to have you here today.
Yeah.
So how's things with you?
Quite busy lah, bro.
How's the project?
I think our friend they send him to the vaccine center, you know, as a volunteer.
Is it?
That's the problem now. The bosses are fighting for this guy to come back lah, because he need to be in the vaccine center until end of the year.
Wow.
So it's like it's a compulsory things lah, actually instructed by the government. Crazy lah, bro. From 8 to 9 p.m. every day.
Wow. So government servant sometimes will be asked to go and do national service.
I'm not sure lah, but then actually sometimes some of the scope of work actually is very crucial. Is because they are essential, right? IT is essential, so they cannot simply just send these people lah. That's what I see lah, because these people also have works to do. It's not they are very free, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the thing lah. So the bosses also are very headache lah now. Because they are not only sending they are sending the whole department, you know.
Wow.
Only left maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people only left.
Well, then how to function like that?
How to function? That's the problem, because IT is essential. They cannot just simply send IT people lah, because in the COVID time actually IT is quite crucial lah. That is what I see lah.
Yeah, correct. You have any questions that you want to ask today?
So far, I just see your video, the webinar lah actually.
Well, you're so busy, you still have time for us.
No problem lah, because.
Okay. Yeah. I think we will start at 10:35. Then after that, then we will proceed. Good morning, Aloy.
Morning.
Did you come in yesterday, or did you join us yesterday?
No, yesterday couldn't make it. No, didn't.
Can you introduce yourself, Aloy, to us?
Aloysius from Home Ideas.
Sorry?
Aloysius here from Home Ideas.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Basically, we are an event agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else you want to know?
Anything like what kind of jobs do you do? Do you have any? Why are you joining us? And then do you have any questions in mind that you want to ask so that during the session we can actually also connect with some of the questions that you have?
Basically, just learn more on the stuff that you're showing on this. To further understand whatever the limits of whatever we do. So we're an event agency, we do a lot of, usually it's on-ground events. So I just need to understand more so that I can, like I said, further push the boundaries of whatever we are doing and presenting and speaking to clients about.
I see. Okay, good. Good to have you.
Yes, thank you.
2 more minutes, we will start. Just wait for. Hopefully, then we have 1 or 2 more coming. Maybe Jacob, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. Morning. I'm Jacob here. I am from Macking domain together with Eutectic and some of my few colleagues here, who will be assisting me, especially if you have any questions halfway through the session. You can always leave your question in the chat box, and then my colleague will attend to you. But basically, this is more about myself. So I'll be one doing a presentation for the day. And I'll be explaining what is this IP workflow about that probably you might heard of, or something you might be interested in, and how probably can apply to your video production. And in the company, I'm basically I'm a demo artist, and I also do a lot of like presentation like this for workshops or any of our customers and partners. And also basically on the if you have any questions regarding our technical or support side, I'll also be the one to assist you.
Yeah, Jacob is an all-rounder. Anything you ask him on the IP, right? He is able to do as much as possible. In our small company, we believe in very specialized in what we do. So like the IP video productions is something that we are focusing. Therefore, we want our team member to be very, very versatile in this area. So we also have two. Two, are you there?
Yeah.
Can you introduce yourself?
Sorry?
Introduce yourself.
Oh, hi. Tu here. I also work for Macking domain, and I generally handle most of the technical related issues. So anything product related questions, usually I'll be the one who answer. So how to use the product, what are the functions, how to get the most out of it. So yeah.
Yeah. Repair RMA is also handled by him. He's also a wizard in Remix. So if you guys want to know Remix, like what Paying was asking this morning, that do we do training for Remix? Yes, we do. We do Remix, we do Tricaster. So if you guys are interested, you can always contact us. Yeah. This morning, when we were early paying, which you can see that is actually Jackie Go. Okay, she's using Jackie's Go's account. So she was asking us a little bit about we are facing problem every now and then on the internet problem. Is it because of certain issues like how come how come my her streaming got problem every now and then. So one of the stream is working fine, the other stream is not working fine. So later we are going to talk a little bit about the streaming issues that people are facing, even though it is not in our presentation today. But I'm glad that she brought this up, so that when you bring up issues like that, it will help us to, you know, put some of the concern, put some of the struggles that you have, so that you can look into it. And then if you have other questions, please feel free to, you know, type it up so that we get to know you a little bit, and then we can assist you. Ma, can you introduce yourself, Ma? You know, then we pass the time to Jacob.
All right. Hi, everyone. Morning. For those of you who just started and joining us. So without any further ado, since it's already 10:39 a.m. right here in Malaysia, for those of you who might join from like you know, if you somehow are watching this particular presentation, without any further ado, I'm just going to explain what we're going to go through today. As you can see on my slides here, we're going to talk about IP video production, or either basically network video production, and how IP and network video production is, in a way, the way to go in this current period, and how probably how it can enhance your video production and into how you apply to your live events. Could be houses of worship setups, could be even for educations, or even for even corporate also. And I'll also explain what is all this IP video production for those of you who are in the not in the video production, and this is something new to you. Video production has been going on for a long time, but why I talk about IP a lot is because we are familiar with like HDMI connectors, SDI video production. All of these are the standard video production connections into how you connect your video and transport your video through this what call this interfaces. So let us just introduce ourselves. We are Macking Domain. We are the official distributor for Newtek, Clearview, and October in Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia itself. But we don't only just carry these three brands. We also carry Brainstorm, Skyhoi, Elgato, vMix, AJA, Atomos, Blackmagic, and Teradek. And of course, there are a few other products and brands that we carry. But we not only just sell products itself, but we basically we assist our customers in streaming, streamline their streaming production, how to get them to start doing streaming, or if any of them have any problems, right? We will they'll consult us in how to go into these streaming platforms and how to get it going also. So without any further ado, let me just dive right in. The first thing is, what is IP? So IP stands for Internet Protocol, but of course, if you find that Internet Protocol may be a bit hard to understand or grasp, right? Basically, in other words, it means network lah. If you are familiar with the term network, but IP, Internet Protocol, network, they're basically generally mean the same thing in a way. All right, and the thing is, before that, so when I talk about Internet Protocol and network, right, you will see this image here, which is the network cable. So probably you might see this even at your own home. You will definitely have it if you have internet and Wi-Fi, all this running. So you probably will see this cable. Or for some of you guys who already start using IP, then you may be familiar with this cable already. So the thing is, why are we going with IP? So we for those of you who are in the video production, you'll be familiar of your standard HDMI or SDI cameras. So you can see this man is holding a camera, and for those of you, if this is your first time going to video production, do bear with me, and I will try to explain what makes standard connections and IP connections difference. So for those of you in a video production, you might be probably familiar with this picture image here, right? Like you can see all the cables all tangled up. It's so messy because sometimes in your single camera signal, right, you are basically running a lot of signals running. To name a few, you are transporting video, so you have a video cable. You even have a control cable. You might even have a tele cable, and you might even have audio cable. So these are the four probably commonly connections you might see in a camera, and maybe there's even more connections than these four here, but I'm just going to use video control, tele, and audio as an example. So in order to bring all these four connections, you need four connectors or physical cables to bring all those signal over, and that's why you will see this image in the middle where you have a lot of cable and it's not very messy. So imagine you have multiple cameras, right? Imagine how many cable runs you will need to go. But the thing about IP is, with network cables like this, you're able to basically carry video, control, tele, and audio just over a single network cable like this. Excuse me. All right. So that basically makes your video production setup even more tidier, not as messy as what you're running. And we're going to talk about two different IP protocols today. One is NDI and one is SRT. So first, I'm going to explain what is NDI. So NDI stands for Network Device Interface, right? And this is going to define what's the definition of NDI. So Network Device Interface, NDI, it is a royalty-free software standard developed by Eutectic to enable video-compatible products to communicate, deliver, and receive high-definition video over a computer network in a high-quality, low-latency manner that is frame-accurate and suitable for switching in a live production environment. So this will also mention regarding like HDMI or SDI video connector, those standard ones. Usually they are just mainly to transport video only. And later I'll also define what can a network cable do than just transporting video itself. So this is how it looks like. If you are already running a video production, this is probably a setup that you might be familiar with. You have cameras, you have video playback, you probably have a laptop running PowerPoint or something else, and then you need to stream out, or you might even, if you are running a live event at a physical venue, then you probably might have you need to distribute your output to, let's say, a LED screen, projector, or TVs and stuff like that. So when you talk about cameras, right? Usually your video switcher, you'll probably need SDI or HDMI inputs on the video switches itself in order to bring all your camera sources. So for instance, in example, over here, I did show 3 cameras. If I want to bring 3 cameras into my video switcher, I will need to at least require 3 SDI or HDMI port on the video switcher itself. But if let's say I own a video switcher that has only 4 HDMI port, but if let's say I have 6 cameras, then I cannot add in the other additional 2 more already. So it really is very hardware reliant. All right, and then usually is you need to buy. You need to upgrade your video switcher. So if you want to go with a 6 camera production, then you probably need to buy a video switcher with at least a minimum of 6 inputs or more. And next is example, you run PowerPoint, you need to have usually for laptop they only have a HDMI output, or either it's a Type C output itself. So also if you're running HDMI, which most of the laptop is quite common, then you have to make sure that your video switcher has the HDMI port itself to run. And we know if let's say your video switcher is very far away from your laptop, right? And we know HDMI cannot go such a long distance. So there is a limit. So the thing is, how are you going to extend? Then usually I've seen people, they'll need to bring a converter and convert into SDI, because SDI can go longer than HDMI, or even they use IP to HDMI extender to extend the signal. And next is video playback, because a lot of hardware video switcher does not have integrated playback, meaning right, I cannot import my video into my video switcher. I will need an external device, most likely a laptop that is running all my videos, and I need another connection to go inside already. So over here, as you can see, there are 5 sources I need to go in. So at least my video switcher need at least 5 or more in order to bring in all these sources in. One more thing to add is for video playback, so because it's not integrated with the switcher itself, usually there will be another person that needs to manage the video, when to cue in the video, when to play the correct one, make sure all are organized, because the video switcher operator will not be able to manage that. And if I want to do stream, usually you'll need a dedicated streaming encoder box. So hardware is needed to able to stream, because a lot of hardware video switcher do not have a built-in streaming encoder box, streaming encoder inside itself. So you probably need to spend another money just to buy this in order to be able to stream out. And when you want to output your master output or your program output, the thing is how many. The question is how many. If you're doing a live event, right, probably you need to output to a LED screen or a projector. You need to output to a certain TV, maybe at the foyer. You need to display out to basically multiple TVs or multiple rooms. If, for example, if you're running like a big event, a ballroom event, which there is an overflow room, they need to go to smaller rooms and all that. So the thing is, how many outputs can your video switcher support itself? But the thing about NDI is, as you can see, the only difference is I have a switch in the middle in this current setup. As you can see, previously there is no switch, the network switch itself. So you can see with the network switch, right, I can actually bring in my camera into the network switch over IP, and then as you can see my video switcher on the right side, right, I just need a single connections in able to bring those 3 cameras in. So as you can see, they are not limited to the physical ports on the hardware itself. Whereas when you use the HDMI or SDI video switcher, right, you're very heavily reliant on the hardware itself, where the number of ports is very important. So it really basically more on how to scale up. Are you able to scale up your production, or you're just only fixed, tied down to this set of smaller scale or production and stuff like that? But as you can see, right, the thing why I say this with NDI, so this video switcher only works with NDI supported video switcher, which I will also names what are some of the few video switcher you can actually try and test out for a start. For example, if this is your first time going starting a video production. But as you can see on a video production itself, the video switcher, there is integrated playback system, meaning I can actually upload or update my media into my video switcher and playback directly from inside without needing an external device to playback. And there is also integrated streaming encoder, so I actually don't need an external or additional streaming hardware itself. I can actually stream directly from my video switcher already. And I even have an integrated virtual set. So if you want to do a green screen with a virtual set, right, there is already even some templates, or you can even design your own with the video switcher itself already. And there's also a feature to able to generate title graphics if you want, because title graphics also, if you're going to traditional, usually you will require additional hardware itself also just to generate titles. And one interesting thing is actually during this season is very popular is integration with software like Teams, Zoom, and Skype. So with all this conferencing calling software. So with NDI itself, or this IP standards, right? Basically, it kind of seamlessly allows you to bring the caller into your video production, and while at the same time returning a program feed to them, so they will be able to see what is happening in your event or in your live stream. And I also able to use my laptop without needing to use HDMI, so I can actually use a network to basically transport my video over. Okay. All right. So before I continue on, for those of you who just joined in, so just kindly mute your mic so that you'll not be disturbed. Thank you. And yeah, so just to recap a bit, so the video switcher, the NDI support video switcher do have integrated media playback, a streaming encoder, visual sets, and title graphics. So just to briefly explain, quickly go through about NDI, some of the history. So it is developed by Eutectic. So that's why you will see some Eutectic stuff here and there because NDI came out from was developed by Eutectic. And it was first introduced in 2015 in the IBC Amsterdam, which is a AV what you call event basically. And there's the first NDI device that was on the product is Eutectic Tricaster. So Eutectic Tricaster is a video switcher that is produced from Eutectic. And currently, it is the largest IP video production ecosystem in the world today. Why I say it's the largest? Because I can say it very bluntly, is because it's very affordable compared to any other IP workflow. So if you're familiar with broadcast, or if you're not familiar with broadcast, I will just mention some of the facts. So one of the IP protocol, right, is SIMD, which some of the broadcasters use, and SIMD can be quite costly also. If, for example, if you want to go with that, and because SIMD is running on fiber itself. So when you talk about going in a much more cost-effective, more affordable IP video production ecosystem, right? NDI is the way to go. So yeah. And there's about 2,000 plus over companies have added NDI into their products already. So as I mentioned earlier in my previous slide, software like Teams, Skype, all have support for NDI. And I'll also briefly mention along the way what are the few other companies and products that actually have integrated NDI. How does NDI work? So NDI can be as simple as to just transport video. So example, if you have a network switch, something like this. This is an 8-port business class switch. But example, if you want to just try how does NDI works, right? I mean, you can use your current home switch first, but when it comes to video production, I'll also explain later what are the at least minimum requirements to run your IP video production. So example, if I have a PTZ camera, a pan-tilt zoom camera that has integrated NDI support, and let's say I have a laptop that's running NDI Studio Monitor. So basically, right, what NDI Studio Monitor does is it is a free software that allows you to grab whatever NDI source in the network itself, and you can monitor it from your laptop. So let's say I connect the cable from my NDI PTZ to the network switch, and then to the my laptop. My laptop is able to pull that PTZ camera over the network itself. If let's say I want to pull another source, I can have another laptop that's for example running a PowerPoint, and I can run a free software which is called Nds Client Converter, which basically captures your screen of your laptop or your desktop and converts into an NDI source. So as long as they're connected to the same switch, my NDI Studio Monitor on the other end of the laptop is able to grab the second source. Or I can even use my mobile devices to connect to the network, and my NDI Studio Monitor is able to grab over a single Ethernet cable. So as you can see, in a single internet cable, I'm able to grab all three of these inputs already. Or it can be as simple to just distribute video. So same with a gigabit switch like this. So if you have a video switcher and camera that has integrated NDI support, I'm able to distribute to multiple rooms. As you can see on my video switcher or camera, I just need one network cable, and then I can distribute multiple to multiple rooms or to multiple destinations or multiple TVs or to your projectors and LED screen. It really depends what is your setup. Okay. So now the thing is, can it advance or help with your workflows or probably come up with ideas that you have if you content that you want to produce or events that you want think of producing like online or virtually. So this is, let me just show you. This will be how the overall connection will look like. Of course, we already went through how does Ndi connect over to the studio monitor. The only thing difference right here is the gigabit switcher. So this is a much more bigger switch because now we want to add in more inputs. But let's say if you have, let's say you are just learning about NDI, you don't have any NDI products. So let's say I have a HDMI camera like this. So one of them is like a Sony A7 III, so which does not have any integrated NDI support. So how am I going to bring that into my NDI studio monitor? So there is a Ndi converter like this KiloView N4, which basically converts your HDMI into an NDI signal. So with this converter itself, I'm able to send the signal to my Ndi studio monitor for it to grab and monitor it. Same goes if you have for broadcasters, right? Pro AV, if you have a 12G SDI camera, then you can actually go with KiloView N30 lah, if you're going to 4K production. Or if your 4K is only running on HDMI, so if your 4K HDMI camera also is able to bring it as a NDI source through the KiloView N40, which basically converts your HDMI 2.0 into NDI, and then my NDI studio monitor is able to grab all these 4 cameras over a single network. Or if I want to grab in my mobile devices, can be your iPhone, can be your Android phone, or can be your iPad, I can connect over wirelessly over the access point over the 5 GHz band itself. So I can connect wireless and grab it to my send my signal to my NDI studio monitor for it to receive and monitor. But right now, I'm just showing you how to use Ndi Studio Monitor just to grab and receive and monitor the feed. But we haven't talked about producing your content, how to start mixing different videos, switching different videos, to do streaming or that. So that's where the video switcher like this. Over here is the Eutectic Tricaster, but there are other different brands out there or software-based vision mix or video switcher, like if you're familiar with vMix, OBS, all this, all also basically works the same way. So, but right now I'm just going to use this as an example. So you can see over connecting over a single network cable, I can actually grab all of these 5 camera sources and start mixing in my video switcher. So I don't actually require 5 cables to physically connect to my video switcher. If you remember my earlier slides, you will see that if I have 5 cameras, right, I need to physically connect 5 cables to my video switcher, and also that depends on how many input ports does your video switcher have also. And I can even have, if you are using Adobe Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro also have support for NDI also. So if you want to play back a media from the Premiere Pro timeline, you can actually play it out and it will send out an NDI signal in the network itself, and then my video switcher is able to grab that source from the Premiere Pro. Or if I want to output to a projector, I can have a KiloView N4 also to basically convert NDI signal into HDMI. So you can see that I have 2 KiloView N4 right here. You can see one is on my Sony camera, HDMI camera. That one converts HDMI to NDI. As you can see, the KiloView can also do the same thing by converting NDI into HDMI. So there is 2 functions in the KiloView itself, which is to encode and to decode. So we have afternoon sessions where my colleague 2 will talk more in details about KiloView products and how does KiloView works All these N30, N40, N4, and N3s will be mentioned in that at the 2 o'clock sessions. So if you want to join, you can feel free to join that in the afternoon sessions. And I can stream out the internet also, because as I mentioned earlier, Video Switcher with an integrated NDI support actually has the capability to stream out because they have a built-in streaming encoding functions inside. Or if let's say I have another video switcher I want to connect to, I can do that. It can be, for example, I can use Eutectic with Eutectic video switcher, or I can use Eutectic connect with vMix. I can use Eutectic to connect with OBS or any other NDI supported video switcher over the same network. So I can grab some source from that particular video switcher and bring over, or the other video switcher can bring in certain source and grab some source from the other video switcher. So that's how easy it is, and how you can see how the ecosystem here is kind of makes it more flexible in a way to access your sources. Before I proceed, any questions that you have? I hope this is hopefully this diagram is quite clear. But if any question, do feel free to voice it out. The floor is open for you to, you can unmute your mic and then you can shoot your question right away. Or if you have a question, or if you don't have any question, I'll move on. But then if you have any question, you can still feel free to put your question down in your chat box. And then my colleague too will be able to attend to you via the chat box. Okay. All right, just a breakdown and summary about NDI. So NDI basically carries real-time video, alpha, control, and metadata transmission. They are high quality, ultra low latency video streams, simple to deploy, zero configuration. If not, even if there is configuration, is very minimal, nothing too complicated. And it's bi-directional content. This is very interesting when I mentioned bi-directional content. If you remember my earlier slides, is how if you are using a HDMI or SDI connection, right? Remember how if you want to bring in audio, you want to bring in tele, if you want to bring controls, you need a lot of cables to connect them to do its individual jobs. And as we know, the SDI or HDMI only goes one direction. They only transport video feed. They cannot do anything else. So with network, right, NDI, they can go two ways. So one is the camera is sending signal into the video switcher, and at the same time, right, whenever, for example, the video switcher is selecting that particular camera source, it can send a tele information back to the PTZ camera or even an NDI converter, because a lot of NDI products actually has a built-in tele light on the product itself. So it is transmitting back tele information, or if you're using a PTZ camera, it is sending back control data also. So you can change your exposure, you can change your white balance, or you can even control the pen tilt zoom of the camera itself. And it's extremely easy to implement in software, and it's a free SDK. So what do I mean by free SDK? SDK stands for Software Developer Kit. So basically, a lot of companies that is adding NDI into their products, or want to add NDI into products, they actually can go to the NDI website and download this SDK for free. So I think, as I mentioned earlier in my slide, NDI is a royalty-free software. So basically, a lot of companies are even free. For example, if you are a developer and you want to integrate some sort of NDI into your products itself, you can even feel free to download SDK, I guess. Yeah. So I'm going to break down, we talk about briefly what is NDI and how does NDI works. So now I'm just going to mention there is more than one versions of NDI. As you can see here, there is NDI and there is NDI HX. So I'm going to break down into three different parts. As you can see, HX, there's two different versions. There is 1.0 and there is 2.0. All right, and if you look to the left, NDI. So this NDI, if you don't want to get confused, we can label this NDI as called high bandwidth NDI, or either call it full NDI. Why do I say full NDI or high bandwidth NDI? Because they use a DCT compression, which the quality is similar to ProRes. If you are familiar with ProRes, you will know how the image quality is there on the ProRes image itself. And for those of you who do not know, basically ProRes is actually quite a high quality image that they process. All right, and they use up bigger bandwidth, and they have lower latency. So meaning the question that you probably might ask is, if I want to go with IP, right? Usually, the first thing that comes to your mind is what's the delay like? Is it very delayed when you go with network? The answer is, when you're using high bandwidth NDI, as you can see here, is lower latency. If you want to put a side-by-side comparison with HDMI or SDI connections with NDI, basically it's almost quite hard to notice. All right, and on NDI HX 1.0, they are using a H.264 compression, so the compression is much more lower compared to the full NDI. So what do I mean by H.264 compression? If you're doing streaming to YouTube or using what I call it, or Facebook, all this kind of platform, right? They are using a H.264 compression. So as you can see, the quality will be compressed to that level. They only use up smaller bandwidth, so they do not require as much bandwidth compared to high bandwidth NDI. And they've the only thing downside of NDI HX is they have higher latency compared to high bandwidth NDI because of the smaller bandwidth pipe they have. So if you put high bandwidth and NDI HX side by side, you can see the obvious latency on the HX itself. And usually HX 1.0, you will require a HX driver. But whereas the HX 2.0 is a bit different, a bit much more better quality. The compression they use is H.265, which is a bit much more better compared to H.264. They have more NDI functions, and usually for HX 2.0, usually there's no driver needed. So by example, it really depends if you're looking to set up video production that requires, let's say you want to go with 4K. HX 1.0 is not able to support 4K. The highest resolution they can go up is only HD, but the HX 2.0 can actually go to 4K. But obviously, if you high bandwidth NDI, obviously can go to 4K also. All right, so just going to show you a brief example how powerful or how connections or a cable like this, right? The example, I'm going to use 1 GBE as an example because a lot of your network switch, right, will at least have 1 gigabit internet connections. All right, so these connections like this can at least bring in up to 7 different 7 video streams. So basically, in a single network cable, I can have up to 7 video streams. So in this diagram right here, if you are running a 3G SDI, which is your video format is 1080p 60, if you see in the middle, in a single internet cable, I can have up to 7 streams. All right, just gonna highlight here. All right, you can bring up to 7 streams over NDI. Right, but because a lot of even if you go to an IT mall, right, 1 gigabit internet switch is very easy to come by. But the thing is, and in the market, if you talk about, is there any bigger anything bigger than 1 gigabit internet? There is, there is a 10 gigabit internet, but 10 gigabit internet is not easily come by in a store to buy off the shelf. Usually, you probably need to find a special seller to actually get all this, get your hands on all this 10 gig switch. So, but let's say if you have a 10 gig switch, then imagine your 1080p 60 video format, you're able to bring in up to 70 video streams. So what do I mean by streams? Meaning, right, it's not only mean input and output, but what do I mean by 70 streams? Is basically, it can mix inputs and outputs, but as long they maintain in the capacity of 70 streams. So, but usually your video production, I don't think you'll go up to 70, but it just shows you that with a 10 gigabit internet backbone, you can actually do up to 70 if you're doing full HD. If you're going 4K, right, UHD, full 4K, you can go up to 20 streams of 4K, 20 streams of 4K streams over a 10 gigabit internet. So just for visualize purposes to help you. So imagine one cable like this connect to a 10 gigabit internet port. I can bring up to 70 of these video signals. All right, so just let that sink in a bit. Right, so next I'm just going to show you also to help you visually. So imagine you're going to traditional, right? So all these 4 cameras, example, they have only they're running SDI. So for this setup like this, you'll require 4 SDI inputs on the video switcher itself. So you need to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, you need to make sure your video switcher on the hardware itself has enough input to able to support all these 4 cameras. If you're using if you want to go up to 6 cameras, then you need to make sure that your video switcher has 6 input ports. But the thing about NDI video switcher is, of course, network switch is in play. So let's say I put this network switch in between the cameras itself and the video switcher. So all these 7 NDI cameras, right, go into my video switch. I just need only one cable into my video switcher to able to grab all 7 of the cameras itself. So at least you can see the difference between going with a traditional route using HDMI or SDI, purely hardware video switcher. So this is just a comparison chart between SDI and NDI. Example, if you are sending 4 camera signals to 2 different studios. So over here we have Studio A and Studio B. So as you can see on the SDI route, right, or even a HDMI route, you probably require 4 SDI cameras to go into a SDI router. So you will need a SDI router. It is a hardware box to able to distribute, duplicate and distribute your camera signal to different Studio A and Studio B. So you can see altogether there's about 12 cables I need in order to route those 4 cameras to my studios. But the thing going with NDI, right, is you can see I have 4 SDI cameras go into this NC1 IO box. So this NC1 IO box has basically it is a SDI to NDI converter, but the only thing is the thing about unique about this converter, it is there is a 8 SDI port at the back, so you can basically convert 8, or even you can, it depends how you configure. You want to convert 4, you want to convert 5 SDI signal into NDI. You can actually get this. There is this box here for you lah. So you can see how this with NDI workflow, right? 4 SDI into the NC1 IO, convert into NDI. And then on my Studio A and Studio B only, each just grab 1 Ethernet cable and is able to share the same camera source over NDI. As you can see, there are lesser cable runs, make it less messy. Yeah. But the thing is, what about remote setup? So this probably is quite a popular question because, especially during this pandemic, some of you are experiencing lockdown. You cannot do you cannot do much for events and stuff like that. But there is also another solution where you're able to send your feed remotely from another location. So let's say I have a video switcher set up at your own place, and then I have a camera, let's say in somewhere part of the city or different part of the state. I can have a box like this KiloView to basically send the signal over to the public internet and bring it over as a SRT source to, let's say, to this box. So what does this KiloView U40 does is basically converts SRT signal into NDI headshake signal into to my Tricaster. But if let's say if you want to bypass this U40 encoder, or you can actually pull the SRT directly to your video switcher like the Tricaster itself, bypassing that. All right, because Tricaster do have integrated support for SRT also. So next question is, how can I start using NDI? So the first important thing is network switch on the hardware side of things. So there are 3 different classes of network switch. The first is the residential class. These are common devices found at the local electronics store. Well, they might work in some cases, but I would not recommend them to you if you want to go with an IP video production. So what are a few examples of residential class switch? Some of them is probably some of the switch that you already have at your house already. So like your TP-Link, D-Link, all this, there are some of those residential class switch. And also residential class switch can be something that you buy off the shelf in a mall. So yeah, and the second class is the business class. So these units offer higher performance and additional features. They are easier to configure than higher tier class switch like enterprise class. And then if you want to go with IP video production in a medium scale at least, or maybe a small medium to medium scale, I'll recommend to go with this business class switch. Of course, the next tier, the last one is the enterprise class switch. So these units offer maximum performance and features, but it can be difficult to configure correctly. It can be used, but business class might be suitable if you find it difficult to manage the enterprise class switch, because even me myself, I'm not a network. I don't have any network background. I don't have any IT background, so I find enterprise class a bit harder to configure. So that's why right now we in Macking domain we are actually using a business class switch, but of course we are interested to actually try out enterprise class switch because with enterprise class switch, basically offer a better performance compared to business class switch lah. But of course, business class switch is still workable because we've been using business class switch for Ndi production for at least about more than a year, 2 years, 3 years even. Yeah, and so far we don't have any issues. And another hardware part to take a look on is cables. What are the type of cables I can use for network? So as you can see here, that I have Cat5e, Cat6, and Cat6a. So for existing setup, at least have a Cat5e lah, nothing below than that, because anything below than that probably will not be able to carry 1 gigabits in 1 Gbps kind of line already, because anything lower than that, probably some of the lower specs cables only can carry up to 100 Mbps, which may not be enough, right? So make sure you have by example, usually I would recommend our clients to go with at least minimum of Cat6 for new installation. Also, if you want to change, do feel free. But as you can see, Cat5e only can go up to 1 Gbps. They cannot go above. But if you want to have like a 10 Gbps backbone, at least go with Cat6. But of course, the next question is, you heard of Cat7, Cat8 on that. You can use because we have customers who even use Cat7. There's no problem also. And power over internet. What do you mean by power over internet? Basically, a business class switch, right? Usually, some of the models or products of the business network switch actually have support for PoE, which means they can actually power up your devices. So, example for Ndi products, right? A lot of your converters and PDC camera actually have support for PoE, so you can actually power up your devices with the network switch without needing additional power adapter and all that. So on paper itself, it is support up to maximum 100 meters, but I would not recommend to go full 100 meters. I will at least have some headroom, so I will at least cap at least 70 to 80 meters, but 70 is always the safest. So take a look at this Netgear switch. This Netgear switch is considered enterprise class switch. So this is a 28 port 10 gigabit internet switch. As you can see, it's quite costly. It's about 2,150 USD. But I'm just going to show you how powerful can a 10 gig switch like this do. When it comes to routing, right, 4K routing, this switch can do approximately the job of 25 video hub routers. All these are all Blackmagic video hub routers. So and they are all 12G 4K. So imagine how much money you can save if you're going NDI route. So do take note that a single router, video hub router like this, probably cost equivalent to one network switch like this, or maybe a bit higher or a bit lower. But imagine, even if you buy 2 or 3, it's already basically you still save more using a network switch. So the next question is, where can I start exploring NDI? So now I've already gone through what are some of the requirements to start off how to use NDI, and I already explained what is NDI and how does NDI work. So now the thing is, how do I start exploring? So the first thing to explore is NDI tools, because NDI tools is free. You don't even have to pay a single cent for it. You can actually go and download NDI tools off the browser. I think I will have my colleague to try to provide a link in the chat box. Then you can actually click the link there to access to the browser and see what and to go ahead and download those software. So I'm just going to name, as you can see, there is support for Windows and Mac, but I'm going to explain some of a few notable applications that probably might be quite helpful for that kind of help your productions. So these are the three applications. I have the NDI Studio Monitor, I have NDI Screen Capture, and I have NDI Virtual Input. For those of you who attended since the beginning of this presentation, in my earlier slides, you've probably seen NDI Studio Monitor and NDI Screen Capture. And for those of you who just joined midway through the sessions, here I'm going to explain what does this application do. So first, if Studio Monitor, basically this application allows you to monitor any NDI feed across the local network. So meaning, right, if I have a lot of NDI feed in the local area network, I'm able to use this application on my laptop to pull any of those feed and monitor it from my laptop itself. If you're talking about broadcast monitor, right, there are hardware monitor, there are a dedicated video monitor, reference monitor. So usually they have a SDI or HDMI port. And then if you want to monitor one camera, you need to go to the particular camera's SDI or HDMI port to connect to them. If you want to move on to a second camera, I need to unplug from the first camera and go to the second camera and plug the connection back in. So you only can monitor one signal at a time. But with NDI, right, I can open up to 4 different NDI Studio Monitor windows and monitor 4 feed at the same time. But for example, if I want to switch any source, I can do so. Like example, my first window of the Studio Monitor, I can switch to another NDI source. I can flexibly switch anytime that I want. And NDI Screen Capture basically captures your desktop screen and converts it into an NDI source. So if you're running PowerPoint presentation or you're running a video playback from your laptop or your desktop, or even for esports, if you're running a game on your desktop, right, you can actually have this NDI Screen Capture. Basically captures your desktop and convert it to NDI source, and then your viewer mixer can actually capture that output, that source itself. And NDI Virtual Input. So this basically converts any NDI source that you desire into a webcam source. So this is very helpful for things like if you're using Zoom, if you're using Microsoft Teams, if you're using Skype, or you're using any of the conferencing software system, or even WebEx also. So example, if you are using vMix, OBS, or Wirecast or Tricaster, right, as a video production tool, and then your platform you want to deliver is to any of those conferencing software systems, because Microsoft Teams, Skype, WebEx, Zoom only able to read webcam source. So that's why you only have your laptop or your desktop webcam source available. But if you want to bring in those video switcher output to that, you can use this application to convert that, and then you can select the NDI input into your Zoom or to your Microsoft Teams or to Skype or your WebEx also. So this is quite helpful. So we actually have some use case, like one of the example is Amway. Amway, they were conducting, last year they were conducting a virtual conferencing in a Microsoft Teams. So they actually have a NDI video switcher do the programming or the content creating and bring over using this NDI virtual input to convert that. And another application you can start is on your mobile devices are NDI HX Camera and NDI HX Capture. So these two applications is not free. You have to pay for it. Unfortunately, it was free for a brief moment last week because of a new NDI launch, which I will also explain also what are the new NDI features that is available in the new launch. But I believe if you check out in the App Store or Google Play Store, I think it's about I think 40 ringgit. in the market, in the store itself. So if you want to try out, please do feel free to download it, purchase it, and try out. And for video switching, what can I start using? So there are 4 different brands over here. We have Eutectic, OBS, Wirecast, and vMix to at least get start running to explore how to do my video production or how to use NDI into my video production. So we have customers who were using OBS, who are using Wirecast, who are using vMix, right? Of course, they are, I won't say they are a bad tool to use. They are a very helpful tool. For example, for OBS, it is free. They do have support for Mac and Mac OS and also for Windows. But if, for example, if you are only using a 1-camera video production setup, I think OBS is fine. But if you want scale up higher to a video production, then you probably need to step up to vMix, to Wirecast, and so on. And then we even have vMix user or Wirecast user, right, who want to scale up to a bigger production. Then they start going to Eutectic itself to do a much more flexible workflow in terms of video production. So these are the 4 different brands they can actually start exploring. Or even if you are an existing Premiere Pro or After Effects user, there is integrated support for NDI also. So as I mentioned earlier, my slides, Premiere Pro can be used to play out your timeline and convert into a NDI source. Whereas for After Effects, right, if you want to do a fancy graphics design, you can use After Effects to actually play out over NDI without needing to export your effects and importing into your system itself. All right, so this is how it looks like. Example, if you want to start connecting devices from here and there. So the first thing you need is a video mixer. Can be Eutectic, can be OBS, can be Wirecast, can be vMix. So I connect them into a network switch. And let's say, okay, now first thing I want to do is bring in a camera source. So it can be your camera, like even your iPhone camera or your tablet iPad camera, or even if you want to use your mirrorless camera or DSLR, or if you have any existing cameras, then you will need to convert them into NDI by using any of the NDI converter like KiloView. And then next, if I want to bring in a laptop source that's running PowerPoint, then I can actually use this Nds Client Converter or either screen capture to bring it over to my network switch. And let's say I want to bring an iPad source also to display any application presentation or just to display the iPad itself, I can bring over in as a source. And if I want After Effects to generate graphics also, I can also do that by using After Effects. Or if I want to playback media, I can even play out from my Premiere Pro. And if I want to start integrating with a conferencing calling system, then I can start using things like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and Skype to do that also. Or if I want to produce my show and output to those conferencing software platform, I can do so either way around. And then finally, I can start streaming out to my to online platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, or even your own website or anywhere that you desire to stream out to. Okay. Okay, before I move forward, because the next session after this, I will explain about SRT. Before I move into that, any questions? No questions? Any questions? I heard someone's mic is open.
Yeah, my mic is open. I just want to ask, maybe today a lot of the terms may be a little bit, too technical. So if you want us to explain or elaborate, like for example, go a little bit in details, like for example, how do I start to have NDI and things like that? Because we already present, but if you find that it's a bit difficult to how to start, right? You can always let us know. We can help you to see how to help you to get started on the NDI. All right. Any question?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to, like what Yokti mentioned, if this is your first time into video production and some of the jargons is a bit too technical, do feel free to voice out your question, and we'll be here to actually help you to address them also, because think of this as more as an educational tool for you to able to understand or even to start doing your own video content.
Okay, maybe I ask first question first. We probably just have a short break for most of you to digest. We have a questions like, for example, I'm facing problem on streaming. My internet line is having problem. I was trying to stream to two platforms. One is Facebook, the other one go to live view, and live view is having problem, but the vMix send out has no problem. So these are some of the questions that came along before we started this session. Last night we also had people ask us like questions like, is OBS better, or vMix better, or Tricaster better? Questions like that. So if you have questions which is something like that, then we can talk about it. We will address it. We will tell you what are the things that is suitable for you. Like for example, if you do one camera or two cameras, and what are the things that I need? If I do one camera, one PowerPoint, and one remote calling, one Zoom, or one Microsoft Teams, how do I start? What are the things that I need to start? So there are a lot of questions that you can think of. That's why I always believe that after the lockdown, everyone is actually putting in more efforts to go into online video, online streaming. In fact, all the big giants, like for example, people like Shopee and Microsoft and Google, all these people was talking about, video is a way to go. Online streaming is a way to go. If you want to sell more of your products, it has to be an online video engagement. If you don't do the online video engagement, basically you can't. Just like for example, right now lockdown, most of us staying at home that cannot do much. We have a lot of time to kill. We watch video, we watch YouTube, we watch all the videos. But how do we make use of the time to convert the time that we are spending consuming a lot of videos into something that it can help benefit us? So these are some of the online marketing guru is talking about. We also have some people come and tell us we have done a good video, but the result is poor. So is there a way, how do I enhance? I said, if you want to enhance, you want to make it better, you have to find a person to do the video to help you. If you don't find a person to do the video to help you, you are actually just buying equipment. So we have people like asking us which product to buy, which product, they got the things and then they go, but how to use, nobody knows. How to support, nobody knows. So these are some of the common things that everyone is facing. So I bring this up because network is something that very different from a video guy. Video guys are usually not the network guy. The network guys are usually not the video guy. So those are some of the things that how do we collaborate and how do we help one another. All right, so yesterday we just had a meeting with online platform giants that they are launching, which is a shopping mall. Macking domains products will be listed there, and they give us they tell us, you have to do more video to help me to help all the people, the merchants there, to understand how to run a video business so that their sales can increase. I say, okay. So now, after doing all this teaching sessions that we have, like for example, the webinar, people start to notice that the importance of it. Yeah. Okay. So feel free, other question, bahasa pun boleh, kita cuba. Chinese pun boleh. Speak Chinese also can, Malay, English, everything we welcome. Haswan, any question? Akila? Yes, hi Leo.
Hi, Yukti, thanks so much for organizing this talk, and I think it's very informative. And thanks to Jacob. But I have a question for Jacob. But as Yukti say, we are basically production people when it comes to networking and especially live streaming and all that. We basically have a lot of issues to look into. So I have a question about Blackmagic Atom Mini Pro. I just wonder how that solution compared to what you have just presented. Is there any way that you can make some comparison so that people will understand the differences so that they know what kind of production they need this solution or the other? Thank you.
Okay, very, very good questions. I believe most of us also have one or two Blackmagic, before we come into this journey. We sell Blackmagic as well, but we also encounter, I just want to be very, very frank to tell you the answer that we have, but it is up to you to make your decisions what to do. I sell, okay, of course if buy I also happy. The difference between the IP solutions and also the traditional baseband, I call it Blackmagic as a traditional baseband, simply because it uses the video signal style. Okay, the video signal means that they have frame rates such as 29.97 frame rate. They have 50i, they have 50p. They have, all the so-called broadcast frame rate. However, when we talk about streaming, it's slightly different, okay? Streaming, we talk about sending it to the CDN. CDNs is something like, Akami, like YouTube, like Facebook, microsite, and things like that. So you have to differentiate between your final output. Where are you sending it to? Are you sending it to the TV stations, or are you sending it to all this server? Okay, so that will help you to identify, okay, there's a difference. If not, then you find it a bit difficult. So if you want to go into the website, that means that you need to do a streaming. Yes, Leo.
Actually, we are talking about the usual formats. The usual platforms like Teams and Zoom.
Yeah, I will come to that. Yeah, I'll come to that. So, okay, like for example, yesterday we have a client. They are buying. They are actually doing a conference show from Star Media Group. So they came to us. They say, I have problem with this. I have problem with that. I have how come this thing is not working? How come that is not working? So when I explain to you which platform you are going, so that when you go into a certain platform, then you have an understanding where are you going, what is your final delivery output. So what happened is the certain software can only take in a certain output. You cannot change the output along the way. Okay, you cannot say, okay, Leo, I'm going to send you 30 frame. Leo, now I want to send you 50i. now I want to send you the 60p. So these are some of the questions a lot of people are not aware, because different platforms will have different kind of requirement. So when you have these issues, right, then that is where your projects will be having problem. Let's say your Blackmagic, you set a lot of people are using like the 50i, which is the broadcast standard, like what they were using yesterday. So when they do 50i, then suddenly they want to take in the video signal importing to the 50i projects. They find it, oh, I cannot. It's a Skype call, they want to connect. Basically, it just the system just cannot accept the 50i because the source is coming at 30p. So these are some of the questions that you need to understand. How do you go around on your workflow? So if you don't understand, you need, like for example, a Blackmagic take 50i, then suddenly along the way you have to buy a lot of converters to convert your files to 50i. So when you start to put in a lot of converters, meaning that your tools box get bigger and bigger. So the IP solutions usually is the software version, is something like OBS, something like vMix, something like Tricaster, something like Wirecast. So these are software based. This software based, because it's NDI, they take in whatever sources that they want. It doesn't matter at all. So when you have things like that, that means that you don't need to have a lot of tools, because you can auto convert the files to a certain frame rate that you wanted to. So these are some of the things that you have to understand. When you understand already, then you say, okay, if I were to go into this, if I do a project of the conference call, then I will have problem. If I do this, if I do that, then cannot tally with us, then what should I do? So these are some of, like for example, if you do esports, they will say that, where do you want to send it to? So if you want to send to Twitch, right? Is it? Yeah, and then usually they were talking about 60 frames. If you send it to YouTube, it's 30 frames, 60 frames. You send to Facebook, probably it's 30 frames. So these are the requirements coming in. If you use an 50i to send over, right, you will start to realize that your image are usually not so clear. So there are a lot of technical details that you need to know before you buy. If not, then you buy already, suddenly your customer say, hey, why your quality is not good? It's because your settings are wrong. So there are a lot more things involved. Okay, come to Blackmagic Atom Mini Pro. I know that the Atom Mini Pro can do the streaming as well. Okay, however, we also noticed that some complaints, if you watch the video, if you do like 5, 10, 20 minutes kind of a video, you don't see much of a difference. But when you see a video live streaming of, let's say, more than 30 seconds or 1 hour, you will start to see from the beginning to the end, you start to see in the beginning that there isn't any lip sync problem. Towards the end, you will notice that there's a lot of lip sync problem. Why is it a lip sync problem? It's because the machines is overheating. When you start to overheating, the Blackmagic is very popular, very common on dropping frames. Like for example, if let's say you're doing 25 frames per second, then if every second you drop 1 frame, or every 2 seconds you drop 1 frame, by the time when you reach half an hour or 1 hour, you'll start to see that there's a lot of frames missing. That is where the lip syncs are all change. So these are some of the things that a lot of people are unaware. You can use, but at the end result, what will happen? So if you use a Blackmagic switching, if you want to switch from 50i to 60p, right, you will always see that there's a jumping black screen or the blue screen before you switch. So those are some of the things that you want to eliminate by putting in the converters as well. So you're getting more and more things. Then if you want to do a video playback, then you need to have another machines to do a video playback to be out and then reconnect again to Atom to play out. So there are a lot of devices that you need to buy, whereas other software-based tools, right? You can load all those video into the computers, and then the computers can actually generate out. So I wouldn't say which one is better or which one not so good or better. I think it's actually very much based on your workflow, how you want to do it. The reason why we choose the software base is because everything is all in one box. We don't need to have like manpower of like 5-6 people to do the work. We can have 1 or 2 person to do the work. Does that mean that 1 or 2 person can do better work than the 5 people? Not necessary, because of your needs. So I'm not sure whether I give you an outline, but in today's MCO context, right, software base is a way to go, because you can, with less manpower, you can actually do more things. Yeah.
Hi Leo, maybe if I may add on top of that, right, from another angle, because we have a lot of users who use not necessarily the Atom Mini Pro, but basically the Atom Mini line because Blackmagic, I think as Yoti mentioned earlier, is purely hardware based. So if you are interested to use IP video production, right, Blackmagic does not have the support for that. That's one point. And also, although I know that Atom Mini Pro has a built-in ability to stream, but I know the previous Mini, you still need to use OBS or something like that to stream also. And if you want to integrate with like conferencing calling software like Zoom, Teams, and Skype and Webex, right, you will need another hardware device to basically convert your signal into webcam, to go into there, and basically another signal if you want to bring it into your Atom. So as I can say that Atom is or Blackmagic is very, very purely on hardware based also.
Oh, okay. I think what Yukti described earlier, I think now at least I understand the distinction between one is software, the other is hardware.
Yeah.
And also, I think the video rates is also a big issue. We did our first run on this thing, and we did have this lip sync issue. In fact, it was a big issue. What happened is we actually had an event, and the cameras, we got cameras, 3 cameras, connected to the switch, to the Atom, and then through Teams or Zoom, I think it was Zoom, we were connected to some remote what you call center, in the UK, and from there the UK, the guys there, they broadcast the stream, and in between they will mix in their video and so forth, So I think in a way we couldn't control, but then again they were complaining why we got the lip sync problem, and then of course we didn't have a very good switch, maybe network switch at that time. We didn't check, but I probably one of those consumer type. So we did run into problem, although we survived the event, so to speak.
Yeah, so I think you brought up another interesting point is I think Yokti also did earlier mention is internet signal. That's the most important part especially in this streaming era, and also when talking about network, which I also go into the SRT part . So yeah,
Maybe I address the internet part. Most of you are not aware. The consumer router and consumer router, consumer switch, right, is very cheap, but there is a lot of limitations. The limitation is sending packets. Like for example, if you are doing a video productions on a NDI, right? You maybe do 1 or 2 streams, you're okay because the router can handle 300 Mbps. So anything go above 300, right? Your router may not be able to handle already. Your switch may not be able to handle. So when you cannot handle, that is where the router and switch will start to give you problem. So your bandwidth management become a big issue. So we always emphasize just now, if you hear what Jacob was saying, that we use a business class. Okay, we use a business class because the business class allow you to manage the bandwidth. If you start to have bigger bandwidth, then I will tell you that you need to use the enterprise because it's a different usage. You cannot just say that I use a consumer work to do a professional job like a 20, 30 a stream of NDI. It doesn't work that way because the distributions of the bandwidth, like for example, the distributions of the router to the video router, right? You have to use a specific hardware. Without the hardware, you cannot run the work. So a lot of people took switch as for granted, and then they run into problem. Then they come back and say, so what to do now? Yeah, you use the wrong product for the job. So these are some of the things that you need to know. And usually when we tell people, if this is a business that you want to, you want to move forward, right? I will say that you start with a business class switch first, and then the business class switch will always useful because you can eventually, when you go to enterprise class, right? Your business class switch can be used for a smaller project usage. So there are a lot of things that you have to see how to scale your projects, how to do it well. We also tested some of the enterprise switch, but they're not ready for NDI, and it fails badly, even though it's like maybe 12,000-15,000 kind of a switch. Basically, it just doesn't work for NDI. So there are a lot of things that I have to say, because we are considered one of the forerunner of NDI in Malaysia. We test a lot of product. We tested bird dog, and we just don't sell bird dog anymore, simply because we know that there's a quality of the product. We also sell black magics, but right now we don't really we don't focus so much because there's a lot of after sales problem. So when we discover all these problems, we start to eliminate them. We start to stay away from them. We also have a lot of PDZ camera. We have maybe 5 or 6 models in our office. If you want, we can send the feeds to you to have a look at which color that you like. So the reason why we are investing into all this is because we know that it's important. All this information is important for all of you. So if it's important for all of you, when the information, when the so-called you get to see the result of it, then basically you say, I know what to do already. If you don't see, you don't know what to do. Yeah. Okay. So any recommendation for a good enterprise switch? I think we can take it offline because we want to know what you want to do. Enterprise got a 1 gig or got a 10 gig backbone. So you have like a 16 port, you have like 24, you have 48 ports. So all those things, I think it's good that to sit down and to plan before you jump into a decisions what you want, how you want to buy, which one you want to buy. So all these informations are very important. Sometimes it's good that to engage someone who knows the business, so that you know what you're buying. And also we always tell our clients, it's best that you buy what we recommend, because we always have a backup here. We have a unit, so when your unit is not functioning well or anything happen, we can temporarily loan you our unit so that your job can continue to run. Yeah, so these are some of the things that you have to look into. I'm not sure whether I speak too much or not. Yeah. Any other questions?
I think we can continue on first. I think it's almost to the end already. So I think I'll just try to wrap up whatever is left. Then I think we can delve more towards Q&A later also. And yeah. All right, so I'm just going to dive right in. What is SRT? It's another IP protocol. So SRT basically stands for Secure Reliable Transport. So just a brief SRT, there's nothing really much to go on, but I'm just going to tell you roughly how does the idea of SRT works. But before that, I'm going to tell you what is SRT. So SRT, it is an open source video transport protocol that was developed originally by Hikvision. So example, if you remember my earlier slides, if you want to talk about doing remote production, SRT is one of the ways to go about. So I'm just going to show you visually. So example, if I have two different points of location, if I want to communicate with, so example, like Leo mentioned, like one of the event setup is they need to take some feedback from England and all that, or maybe let's say it can be any other states, or even it can be within Malaysia also, or that you're trying to grab certain feed and transport from here and there. So basically, imagine from location A to location B. So SRT, it just allows you to send your feed from one point to another point with low latency and a nice quality signal. So how does it work, or how does it apply? Example, for your kind of video production setup that you're interested to do, or sometimes probably if you have a job that comes out on your table that, how am I going to plan? How do I communicate from one place to another place? So over here, I have a map of Klang Valley. I'll just use Klang Valley as an example. So if let's say I have a base setup in Kuala Lumpur, KL, that's where my video production setup is. That's where my location is. But if let's say I want to start pulling feed from, let's say I have a camera feed, I need to grab from Subang Jaya. I can have a SRT. I can use SRT to transport my signal from Subang Jaya to Kuala Lumpur back to the base with low latency. And if I want to grab another source, let's say from PJ, I can do that the same using SRT also. And I can do the same if let's say if I have a signal from Batu Caves, and I have the same if I have a client, I can basically grab all 4 remote sources back to KL to start doing my mixing. So that's one way to do video, a remote video production. So of course, do take note that SRT is only one way transmission. It's not like NDI where it's bidirectional. So it's more on just sending your video feed from one location to another. So if you want to send a return feed to them, you need to create another SRT signal connection back to whichever place like PJ, Batu Cave, Klang, or whichever location the remote location is located at. All right. All right, so that's for the SRT. So just to briefly explain or share with you, we at Macking domain, we have Ndi SRT products. If, for example, is something that you're interested in, or after these sessions, you're interested into even looking for a demo and stuff like that, we actually have afternoon sessions where Tu will actually explain more on some of the products like KiloView and October, which has there is an Ndi SRT product. So some of the few Ndi products that we have are like Eutectic, SkyHoy, KiloView, October, Brainstorm, and vMix. And SRT, we have 3 products with Newtek, KiloView, and vMix also. All right, so these are some of the few products that carry with NDI and SRT. All right, next on the NDI update, because there is a new NDI update out, which is called NDI 5, which is launched last week. Not announced, I won't say launched, it was announced last week about NDI 5. I think it will be launched, I think, by end of the month or the first week of July. But I'm just gonna, we don't have exact in-depth detail of what are the things to how does it work, what are the things that it can do, but we have some few features overview of what to expect with NDI 5. So first is NDI 5, the feature is Ndi Bridge. Basically, Ndi Bridge is a WAN multi-channel AV over IP, meaning, right, if you're looking to do something like SRT remote production, Ndi Bridge basically does that. But the only difference between Ndi Bridge and SRT is, remember I did mention that how NDI is only on local area network, but with Ndi Bridge is basically widens other than just local, but to a wide area network. So if I have a remote location, I want to receive NDI, I can do that also. And remember, NDI is bi-directional. So if I want to control PTZ, I want to receive tele signal, you can expect that with NDI 5. So of course, I did get questions like, will NDI Bridge, basically just rule out SRT? The answer I can say probably is yes, but it really depends how does it entirely work, about what are the real difference between NDI Bridge and SRT. As of now, we still don't have a lot of information because it's not officially launched out yet, but it will be launched at the end of the month or either in first week of July. So another thing to expect is NDI Audio Direct, new expanded audio workflow. New NDI Remote basically is if you're doing a remote production, if you want to add remote guests to your production, basically this is one of the features that is coming into NDI 5. New reliable UDP transmission protocol, new network interface management with NIC selection, new simple private network setup. So if you want to set up a much more private network with NDI, I think with NDI 5, I think you can probably expect with that lah. Adobe Creative Cloud plugin improvements. Basically, your user experience will probably be improved with some of the things they probably try to fix. And the all-new Final Cut Pro plugin. A lot of questions has been asked. When will Final Cut Pro be have the NDI support? Because I have a lot of questions asked from customers like, only Premiere Pro can use only. So far, if you want to play out from your timeline, only Premiere Pro can. And finally, they have Final Cut Pro plugin for NDI. And a new NDI tools usability improvements also. So NDI tools, example, if you download all the NDI scan converter, screen capture, studio monitor, all of them will be upgraded, and there's some improvement to their user experience also. So these are some of the few highlights and what to expect with NDI 5. So do stay in tune. Do follow our Facebook, Macking Domain in Facebook, to find out probably more once NDI 5 is released. And probably we might even have another session similar like this to explain more in details about NDI 5. And just share with you some of our users in network. So we have users like Astro Arena, Sirius TV. We even have houses of worship like Every Nation Church Malaysia, New Creation Church in Singapore. We have Star Media. We have EGG Network, which is an esports broadcast company. We even have Destina One, which is a direct selling company who will start using NDI and start using a video mixer. We even have Marina Bay Sand, and we also have Singapore Eye Center. So these are we have more users. Just that these are some of the few notable ones to mention. Right, and I'm just going to show you briefly how do they set up. So like for Astro Arena, there actually is you can see there is a KiloView Ndi Converter. So why they actually go with NDI is because, as you can see on the right image, they have two different systems. They have a video mixer system and they have a replay system. But the thing is, both systems, they need to grab the same camera source from the camera signal. So the thing with NDI, right, they can actually duplicate the source without needing to go through like those video hubs, SDI routers and all that, or through the network switch itself. And they are one of the examples which are using enterprise class switch. They are actually using Netgear. And the thing about running NDI with Netgear switch for them has been, I would say, quite flawless. Yeah. And Sirius TV also, they have a green screen setup. They even have, they're using a Tricaster tool. As you can see in the left picture, there is a teleprompter. So this is actually generated from Tricaster 2. So Tricaster 2 actually has the function to output teleprompter also. So the subject on the green screen is able to read from there. We also have Every Nation Church, Houses of Worship. They are running Pro Presenter that generates all their lyrics, their videos, and stuff like that, which has an integrated support for NDI also. So they were a Blackmagic user. Then during MCO hits, they start using OBS. But when they start using OBS, right, they start facing a lot of issue. And they were one of the users who actually bought the Aton Mini to do a lot of scaling up and down and stuff into OBS, and they were facing too many issues because of Blackmagic, the older system. There was no built-in scale conversion. So when they scale up and down, and then when they stream out, right, a lot of times their stream is quite jittery, and you can see the image is not that smooth. So that's where we introduced to them the Tricaster, Eutectic Tricaster. We basically replace their OBS, replace their Blackmagic, and basically fine line everything into this one system without needing to go through multiple conversions. All right, and we even have EGG Esports Network who are using Tricaster. They also use vMix also. And as you can see, they have a SCARHOI controller which has the integrated NDI support to able to control the audio levels on the Tricaster itself. We even have Star Media Group, which are using a Tricaster and also using Brainstorm to do a 3D virtual set. And we even this direct selling companies is using the Newtek system. As you can see, they're also using an NDI PTZ right here. You can see on the NDI PTZ in the front there is a tele information as well. So because they're using this camera on this output itself, so it sends that tele information over a single network cable. So this network cable, if you see here, that is next to the PTZ, is actually powering up the device from the network switch. It's sending video and it's also sending tele information over also, and it's also sending pen tilt zoom information and also the parameter changes of your white balance and exposure information back to the camera over a single network cable. So yeah, so that's the end of my presentation. So now we're just going to open up to Q&A, and yeah. Let me see if there's any questions in the chat.
My colleague too has put up a link. Please copy the link if you want to find out a little bit more about the KiloView product and also the Optover PTZ or POV camera. We are going to do this another session at about 2 o'clock later. Yeah, so come in and we will explain a little bit about the products, knowledge and the product. What can the product use for your production?
Yeah, I think I was going to quote a question by Leo in the chat for any of the listeners out there. The question is, any recommendations for a good enterprise switch, and what is the price range like? Currently, we are using business class switch. Ubiquiti is one of the brands that we use, and we also provide a lot of our customers who actually bought NDI system with us, right? We actually package them the switch also because we also do sell Ubiquiti switches. So right now we are we are using a Ubiquiti 8-switch 48-port network switcher. So this is a business class. Because as I mentioned, I did briefly introduce myself that I do not have any network or IT background. So the thing about NDI is very simple, and I want some switch that is easy to manage without any complicated UI, the user interface. So basically, Ubiquiti is one of the brands that basically kind of stream down how easy to use and how to easily understand the user interface of the switch itself. So with enough information that I need to see. But if talk about enterprise level, we have like Cisco, network, Netgear, Dell, HP, Aruba. All these are all enterprise level, which usually cost 3 times more compared to the business class, or even 2 times. Really depends what are the models are.
The reason why we use the Ubiquiti, because it's a business class, you can take in at least 10, 20 streams, no problem. But I don't recommend that to have more than that. For us to do demo and small productions, I think that is sufficient. Of course, this is only based on the HD, not really running on the 4K. So if you want to run 4K, then probably the enterprise class switch has to come in. Okay, and yeah, so it depends on the needs. You know, easy to manage, allow you to see the traffic as well. You can log in, you can see the traffic, how much has been utilized by the switch and all those. So very easy. I call this cheap and good, you know, switch among the whole lot now.
Yeah. Okay, there's another question from Jackie. Seems everything need internet means the production require a very high speed internet. If the line is down or congested, will affect the camera signal. Okay, you brought up a really good point. I'm just going to explain the difference. There is a difference between internet and Ethernet. Internet being the INTERNET, and being another one, Ethernet is ETHERNET. So internet is just allows you to have like if you want to do streaming, if you want to do calling like this, or you want to browse the internet, right? You require internet line. By example, if you want to just run an offline production using NDI, you can actually run everything without internet. So actually NDI can run on-site offline production. Only when if you're required to stream to YouTube platforms, Facebook, all these online platforms, then you actually need the internet. So internet and Ethernet bandwidth has they will not clash with each other because they're all two very separate things. But talking about internet, right? We do have solutions for even we have user experience. They require they are in a remote site. They want to have internet to stream out. So we actually have a SIM card router to allow you to able to stream using without using any fixed line. Example, so some certain area may not even have a fixed line for you also, or even they have a fixed line but it's very slow. And not only that, also we even have a SIM card router which allows you to have a failover. So you can actually have a 2 SIM card where you are streaming with the first SIM, and when the first SIM is down, they will have a failover to allow you to move on to the next SIM. So we actually do have that kind of solution also.
Yeah, very good point, Jacob. You see, we use a Ubiquiti router. The router, you can put in different ISP, meaning that the port 1 can be ISP on, let's say, what's it called? The Unify. The second port we can use for Cellcom. The third port we can use for Maxis. The fourth port we can use for DG. So at any time when any of the network down, right, there will be a auto failover to go to the different ISP. We use this a lot when we go out to the outdoor to do outdoor projects, which there is no internet. So don't have fiber. So because there's no fiber, we are very much depends on the mobile network. So what we do is that we put in a few SIM card so that there is a failover. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that answers your question, Jackie. Any more other questions? Feel free to voice out or just leave a question in the chat box.
I will encourage you to start to download the NDI tools and start to play with it. So if you have any trouble how to use those, right, you can always write to us or email to us. We can assist you to get you up to speed.
Yeah. So, but if you're interested to revisit this webinar, this workshop, do feel free to check out. I believe I think Tu will send a link in the chat. So do not leave yet until you are able to get the link. I believe it's out on YouTube, right, Tu? Yeah, I think if it's out on YouTube, I believe you can visit our Macking domain in YouTube.
Yep, actually, I just got the link right here. So it's you'll be able to see the live replay after this session.
Yep. All right. If there's no other question, we will still be open to receive your question even after this. So you can still feel free to reach out to us through if you have our contacts, or if you can reach out even to our Facebook page in with Macking Domain Facebook page, or even the Instagram, or if you want to comment anything on YouTube, do feel free to comment there also. To just basically feel free to reach out, and we'll be there to try to assist you the best that we can. Right. Anything to add, Yokti? I think Yokti, your mic is muted. I cannot really hear you. I think since there were technical difficulty on the Teams, but okay. But if anyhow, let me just thank you guys for joining. I think I'm not sure whether Yokti can hear us, but thank you guys for joining. Okay, I can hear someone.
Yeah. I have a GNT delivery came to the house. So,
okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your participation. Copy those links before you go. If you're interested, for 2 o'clock, come and join our webinar again on the products. And look forward to seeing you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Stay safe.